Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever scrolled through streaming options and wondered why some films, seemingly out of nowhere, just explode, become these global sensations?
Yeah, while others, maybe with big stars or, great reviews at home, they just don't travel well.
Exactly. So today we're diving deep into that very question. This deep dive is all about uncovering the hidden mechanics behind the international success of cultural products. Specifically, we're focusing on the film industry.
Right. And our mission really is to pull out the most crucial insights from this fascinating new study. It's called A Social Influence View of the Internationalization of Cultural Products by Jinli Huang, Difan, and Christine Su.
We're going to give you a shortcut, basically, a way to understand these really complex forces at play.
Yeah, hopefully revealing some surprising facts and giving you plenty of those aha moments about how this global entertainment landscape actually works.
Okay, so let's set the stage. The big picture, the global creative economy. I mean, this thing has been on an absolute rocket ship of growth.
It really has. The numbers are pretty staggering. We're talking about a market value surging from, what, around $208 billion in 2002?
Yeah, up to $524 billion by 2020. It's not just big. It's a powerhouse reshaping global trade, cultural exchange.
And a huge driver behind this expansion is the rise of what experts call global value chains, or GVCs.
GDCs, right? So these are like incredibly complex networks.
Exactly. Super sophisticated, interconnected. They coordinate everything, from the initial idea in a studio.
All the way to the film hitting screens somewhere far across the world. Distribution, promotion.
The whole nine yards. They manage it all.
And it's fascinating how easily cultural products like films seem to cross borders. They're intangible goods after all.
And beyond just the money, they're amazing for, fostering cultural exchange, building understanding between nations.
Even contributing to a country's soft power, that kind of influence.
Absolutely. Look at the U.S. film and TV industry. Their global exports jumped from $17.3 billion in 2020 to $22.6 billion in 2023.
And they consistently run a positive trade balance.
Yeah.
That's a massive economic and cultural footprint.
But what's really intriguing, despite this huge growth, is the unique challenge these cultural products face.
Right, because they're symbolic, creative, interpretive.
Exactly. So their international success isn't just about, say, artistic merit. It really depends on overcoming what the study calls liabilities of foreignness.
Liabilities of foreignness.
Okay.
Meaning the challenges of being unfamiliar.
Precisely. Their value is subjective. It relies heavily on critical reviews, sure, but also on how well they resonate symbolically with all these diverse international audiences. It's a tricky balance.
Okay, and this leads us right into the core idea of the study, the social influence view.
Yes. This perspective looks at how our beliefs, our attitudes, our behaviors are deeply shaped by social forces.
Often subtly, right, not like a direct sales pitch, but more about embedding norms, values.
Exactly. It's about what everyone else seems to be doing or saying.
And the film industry is perfect for studying this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Moviegoers are so influenced by others.
Oh, profoundly. Friends, critics, the market buzz. Our viewing habits are incredibly social. Even if we watch alone.
You see it everywhere. Studios using early reviews to boost the box office.
Right. Or word of mouth creating that herd behavior effect.
Yeah, that wave that just amplifies revenue way beyond what anyone expected. And online platforms, obviously, constantly shaping how movies spread.
That feeling when a film just suddenly seems to be everywhere online, that's social influence in action.
So this influence helps in two key ways, according to the study.
That's right. First, it boosts the perceived credibility. If everyone's talking about it, well, it must be worth seeing, right?
Makes sense. And the second way.
Second, and this is maybe even more important, it provides those crucial informational cues, the signals that trigger that herd behavior you mentioned.
Okay. So both things help reduce the uncertainty, especially with new foreign films.
Exactly. They mitigate the risks for audiences facing something unfamiliar.
So given how vital social influence is, what's the really new insight here? What gap did this study fill?
Well, a lot of prior research looked at, say, just one type of social influence, like critic reviews or star power, often just within one country.
Right, kind of in isolation.
Yeah, and the study pointed out that this overlooks the complex interplay and sometimes the conflicting effects of multiple sources of influence acting together across the whole value chain.
Okay, so this study's unique angle is looking at the alignment or misalignment between these different influences.
Precisely. They focus on how congruence, that's alignment, and incongruence, misalignment between influences from the supply side and the demand side shape global performance.
And you looked at a ton of data, right?
A massive data set. 1676 U.S. films released between 2009 and 2018. Really comprehensive.
Okay, let's break down those players.
Yeah.
Supply side social influence. What does that cover?
So that comes from the creators, the production side. The study measured it by looking at the past track record, the performance of the film's directors, lead actors, producers.
Okay, so the idea is if you get big names involved, people with successful past projects.
That signals implicit quality. These people are selective, right? Their involvement suggests a certain level of artistic and commercial legitimacy.
Got it. That makes sense. A famous director, a known star that signals something. So what about the demand side?
Demand-side influence comes from audience reception and, crucially, independent validation.
Like reviews.
Exactly. They measured it using the tomatometer rating from Rotten Tomatoes, that percentage of positive reviews from approved critics.
Right. Those reviews often hit just before or on release. They give those early signals of potential success.
Well, like the independent judgment, the early buzz indicator.
So congruence is when both are strong, big names and great reviews.
Right. Or potentially when both are low, though we'll see that matters less. But incongruence, that's the mismatch.
Like when you have a film with huge stars, but the reviews are just terrible.
That's a classic example. The study calls them box office bombs, strong production credentials, poor reviews, or the opposite, box office miracles.
Ah, the little indie film that could. Lacks star power, but gets amazing critical acclaim.
Exactly. And this misalignment, this incongruence, can really confuse audiences. It can erode trust, especially in international markets where people might rely more on clear signals because the cultural context is less familiar.
Okay, so congruence provides clarity. A consistent message, less uncertainty, stronger social proof. It gives audiences a reason to trust the film.
Precisely. It makes intuitive sense.
So let's get to the core findings.
Yeah.
What did the study actually discover about the power of this alignment?
Well, here's the big one. It's not just about having one strong element, like just stars or just reviews. The core finding is that congruence itself, the alignment between supply-side and demand-side influence, significantly enhances a film's appeal, its credibility, and ultimately its international success.
Wow. Okay, significantly enhances. Can we quantify that? What's the actual impact?
They did quantify it. Get this. When supply-side and demand-side influence are both moderately high, say, one standard deviation above average, and they're congruent, the predicted international box office revenue is 15.27% higher than when you have the same level of influence, but it's incongruent, pulling in opposite directions.
15%. Just from alignment. That's substantial.
It's huge. Imagine the difference that makes for a studio's bottom line.
It really makes you wonder, are there ways studios can actively try to create that alignment?
Yeah.
Or is it just luck?
Yeah.
And does the level of alignment matter? Is high better than just medium?
Great questions. And yes, the study looked into that too. Not all congruence is created equal.
Okay.
Films with high levels of congruence, where both supply-side and demand-side influences are really strong, achieve significantly higher international performance. There's a powerful synergy effect.
So the dream scenario, a top director, A-list cast, and universal critical acclaim.
That's the sweet spot, and the numbers are even more striking here. Moving from a moderately low level of congruence to a moderately high level can increase predicted international box office by around 48.68%, almost 50%.
Oh, nearly 50%. That's incredible.
Think about films like Crazy Rich Asians or Parasite. Their massive global success wasn't just about quality, the study suggests. It was how this powerful alignment really facilitated that global adoption.
Okay, that's a massive impact. But what about the flip side, the incongruence, the mismatch? You might think, well, if you have a critically panned film with big stars, maybe the stars still win out. Or does a brilliant indie film with no names just get lost internationally?
Well, this is another really fascinating, maybe counterintuitive finding, especially for international markets. Even when influences are incongruent, the study found that supply-side social influence, the stars, the director's reputation, tends to play a more dominant role in shaping international performance.
Really? More dominant than the reviews, even if the reviews are bad.
In uncertain or unfamiliar international contexts, it seems consumers tend to trust those established, institutionalized supply-side signals more. Renowned production teams, high-profile talent, They're seen as reliable indicators of quality and legitimacy.
So even if the demand side signal, like reviews, is weak or negative, a strong supply side can still carry a lot of weight internationally.
It appears so. It's like that built-in safety net. If a film has major talent attached, international audiences might be more willing to take a chance, even if the buzz isn't universally positive.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
A big name might just get you in the door, especially for a foreign film you know less about. But context matters too, right?
Yeah.
Does the environment around the film's release affect how strong this congruence effect is?
Absolutely. The study calls these moderators, factors that can either amplify or dampen the effect of congruence. They identified two key ones.
Okay, what are they?
First, upstream, meaning closer to the source, we have home country social media promotion.
Ah, okay. Twitter, Facebook, TikTok,
Uh,
that kind of buzz.
exactly. Social media is obviously a hugely powerful tool for spreading information, engaging audiences. It enhances the visibility and credibility of congruent signals. Good news travels fast.
And it fuels that herd behavior too, presumably.
It supercharges it through content sharing, interactivity, user comments. It creates this echo chamber of buzz.
So the finding is that social media promotion strengthens the positive effect of congruence. If a film have alignment and gets a big social media push at home.
Its international performance gets an even bigger boost. Congruence matters significantly more when films are heavily promoted via social media. It creates this reinforcing loop.
But I guess there's a downside too.
Definitely. They call it a double-edged sword. Social media amplifies the good stuff, the congruence, but it also massively magnifies the negative impact of incongruence.
Right. Bad reviews plus big social media push, faster flop.
Unfortunately, yeah. Bad news travels just as fast, maybe faster sometimes.
Okay, that's the upstream moderator. What about downstream in the countries where the film is being released?
The second key moderator is host country press freedom.
Press freedom, how does that play into it?
Well, the institutional environment and the host country, specifically how free the press is, significantly determines how foreign audiences interpret and act on these social influence signals.
Okay, so in countries with high press freedom, where the media is seen as transparent, unbiased.
That reinforces the authenticity of congruent social signals. People trust the information more, the reviews, the reporting. It fosters trust, enables that herd behavior.
Because you believe the signals are genuine.
Exactly. But in contrast, in low press freedom environments, maybe there's censorship or perceived bias.
That muddies the waters, reduces the clarity and reliability of the signal.
Precisely. It diminishes the effectiveness of congruence. If you don't trust the source of the information, the signal itself loses power.
So the finding there is?
Host country press freedom strengthens the positive relationship between congruence and international performance. You see a sharper increase in box office success due to congruence in countries with more open media environments.
Wow. These findings are really powerful, connecting production choices, audience reception, social media, and even political environments. But how do they even measure all this? Untangling these complex dynamics sounds incredibly difficult.
It was definitely a sophisticated piece of research. The methodology was very robust.
Can you give us a quick peek behind the curtain?
Sure. As we said, they analyzed that huge data set, 1676 U.S. films, 2009 to 2018, across 61 international markets. But the key was how they analyzed it.
Okay.
They used advanced statistical techniques, specifically something called polynomial regression with response surface analysis.
That sounds complicated.
It is, but basically it allowed them to map out the effects in 3 dimensions. Instead of just saying more stars is good, they could see precisely how different combinations of star power, supply side, and reviews, demand side, including all the degrees of congruence and incongruence affected international box office.
So it captured those nuanced interactions, not just simple correlations.
Exactly. It moved way beyond simpler analyses to show the true shape of the relationship. And importantly, they ran numerous robustness checks to make sure the findings were solid and reliable.
Okay, so the rigor is there,
Yeah,
which makes the conclusions even more compelling.
absolutely.
So let's bring it all together. What does this deep dive mean for, us, for the audience, for the industry?
Well, I think the big takeaway is that international success, especially for films, is way more complex than just having a big star or getting great reviews in isolation.
It's really about the alignment, the congruence between the different signals.
Exactly. From the creators themselves and from the audience and critics. And then that alignment gets amplified by smart social media use and needs an open media environment to really land effectively.
So for creators, for film studios, The message seems pretty clear.
I think so. It's not just about investing in the supply side, the big names. You also need to actively cultivate that demand side influence.
Engaging reviewers, fostering positive buzz.
Right, and making sure those efforts are aligned, using digital platforms for authentic, interactive campaigns, and recognizing that the media environment where your film lands really matters. Transparency boosts the impact.
And for us, the audience, what's the takeaway?
I think it offers this fascinating peek behind the curtain, doesn't it? It shows the subtle social cues that influence our own choices, even when we're just picking something to watch.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that what we choose isn't always just about our individual taste. There's this complex interplay of forces.
Forces that extend far beyond just you and the screen.
So here's where it gets really interesting, maybe a final thought to chew on.
Okay.
The next time you are scrolling through Netflix or deciding what movie to see at the cinema, just pause for a second. Consider, how much are your choices being shaped by this silent alignment or maybe this subtle conflict between the people who made the film and the people talking about it?
And what does that hidden dynamic mean for what becomes the next global cultural phenomenon? It's fascinating to think about.